don't know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
In the heart of a major city, in a place raised to honor Earth's past protectors, the world will again learn, sometimes, superpowered intrigue doesn't stop at the grave. Galaxy Memorial Park, Volume 1, beginning crowdfunding Memorial Day 2025.
Beyond the world we know is a place where reality bends and time stands still. A place where legends, fairy tales, and nightmares are real. A world where legends are born and destinies collide. Alice has spent her life lost in an interdimensional rift known as Wonderland, and it forged her into a deadly bounty hunter. With her ancient clockwork guardian Big Ten by her side, they hunt the things that stalk the shadows of Wonderland. Alice Lost in Wonderland, issues 1 and 2 launch May 6 on Kickstarter. Follow along at GoMrFish.com.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
I'll tell you, I'm at Steel City Comic-Con. You're watching me at Madness Comic Network. What a crowd. Love it.
What's up? What is up, everybody?
What's up? What's up?
Welcome to another Monday Madness. Man, we've been doing this for a long time. Everybody, today we welcome back a friend of mine, Jesse Sosa from
Nice
the
to meet y'all.
Strike and More comics. He does a lot of stuff, guys.
Do a lot of things.
We're gonna
A
just
lot of things.
we had a pretty good conversation going on. Well, they did, but I just got home. I'm still trying to get my crap together here. But they were having a really good conversation backstage. I'm not going to dive right into the campaign because there is 29 hours left. So we're not like in a rush to tell everybody it's almost over. But we will get to it. We will. But for now, we're going to talk about things like Comic Cons and not having books. Ghost Pepper, how you doing, brother?
Oh, great. Living the dream, brother. Living the dream. Good to meet Jesse. Yeah, he's
nice to meet you.
Got some interesting stuff going on. Yeah. I want to hear all about it.
Well, speaking of Comic Cons, I'm interested in hearing what your guys' favorite Comic Cons are. Like, doesn't matter on the size. What's the best show that you guys have been to for whatever reason?
Oh man, geez.
Yeah, that's Pop's Pop's deal there.
I would have to say that my favorite one was Hall of Heroes last year because I got to meet Jim Shooter.
Oh, nice.
And I got to hang out with him. He signed my press pass, dude. He was cool. He was really cool, right? So that would probably, I mean, I got to go to Savannah Comic Con and we got to actually broadcast from the floor.
Right.
And that's
cool.
At a table, but we didn't have any of the tech to make it real, right? We were just there broadcasting our regular shows from the Florida Comic Con. On Saturday, May 31st, no, on Saturday, September 27th, Kaz and I will be at DitcoCon. And we will have a booth set up for interviews and doing it right. And we will be broadcasting all day.
Oh,
that will probably be my favorite then. I'm just saying.
And you, Ghost Pepper?
Yeah, I've only been to a few Comic Cons actually, and I enjoyed them all. And I spent way too much money at each one of them because I like too much stuff. And the thing I really liked about the Comic Cons is the things that you see that you can't just find browsing the internet or just browsing your local store. All this really, really good stuff that you would never even know about if you didn't go to these things.
Right.
You know, so that was my favorite part about the whole thing, and meeting all the art, the people that actually draw the book, because you can get the book and maybe see a picture of them in the back or something, but to meet them and talk to them and stuff like that, it's a whole different world, man. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, man. That's being on this side of it. My day job, I work for a pretty massive video game developer. We don't really have to try to be in people's face.
Right.
But being on this side of it, doing the comic stuff, where it's just like me and a couple friends of mine, it's so difficult to get any kind of installation of any kind of audience, which is, why any of these shows are really appreciated for, we appreciate everything you guys do and can help with. But being at the shows and being able to meet people, like that's a lot of fun, right? Like, well, I'm very introverted and I have a lot of social anxiety as well. So that makes those shows a little difficult. But when I'm around like my people, right? Like when I'm around comic conventions, I'm a totally different person. Like right now, I have no anxiety whatsoever. Like I feel comfortable talking. And so, man, I just can't tell you like the fire that I can feel and it's super satisfying when you're pitching your idea to them and you see them like just kind of getting excited, right, of everything that you're like saying. And that's something that you can never achieve that with an image on a store or an image on Facebook. It's so hard to transfer that energy, because as soon as you get someone like going, they're just like, hell yeah, here's some money, like, yeah, I'll take it, and that's great, right? Talking about a pure capitalistic side of things, like, yes, give me your money, but talking about just being able to share an ideal with someone, and not only that, but be able to bond over an ideal with someone, man, I think that's what so right now we have, like, what is it called? Whatnot. I think Whatnot is where you do live auctions and people get fired up with that stuff. Like I wish there was something almost short format like that where creatives can go like live and interact with people online. I think that would be really cool. Podcasts are great, but like that real-time interaction is what I think is missing. I don't know if we'll figure that out anytime soon.
Haven't you talked about that, Pops? You've talked about doing that.
It's part of all the different things that we're trying to bring under the Madness umbrella. Sure. We're talking about a live auction house. We're talking about all kinds of different things that we'll be able to do once we get this thing up and rolling, right? It's like, okay, the foundation has been built. We get a little bit of Roku recognition, and the Madness Auction House will be born. But
Yeah.
first, you got to have the people looking at you, and you got to get them excited. Just like you were just saying about a book, we got to get them excited about the things that we're going to be bringing to the net.
Exactly.
In the same way, right?
So you mentioned having a booth at a convention, and that's actually really exciting because I would love to just be able to walk by your booth and just crash the party, right? Like, oh, you guys are doing a live stream. Hey, I'm here, whatever. Or
That,
doing it like Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade style, where you guys are like walking and like
that too.
observing every booth. That'd be
This is
fantastic.
the whole thing. We'll be able to do both. We'll be able to do interviews at our booth,
Mhm.
right, with guests that are there and fans and whoever, right? Like you said, they walk by, oh man, right? Okay.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we can also have a roving reporter running around doing camera work at other parts of the show.
Mhm.
Right. And
Exactly.
just have that on that's the other thing, the big screen behind you
Mhm.
showing what your cameras are showing, right? So the people walking by go, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
It's all part of the draw them in, right? And it's not like we're gonna have a bunch of stuff at our booth to sell, maybe some Madness merch, or some stuff for like some of our people, like Lori. Maybe get a few of her books or something, put them on the table. Just some of the regular Madness showrunners, help them out if they're interested. But it ain't about going there to sell stuff. It's about going there to do the show. I want to have. This is the kind of thing I'd like to be able to do once a month.
Yeah.
Go to a show live, set up, broadcast, and interact with people at the cons.
Yeah.
Those are the hardcore fans.
Right.
They'll go pay $80 for a ticket to go walk around and spend more money.
Yep.
Those are your hardcore fans, man. Those are the people you really want to be, as you said, in the face of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Out here, we're kind of talking to the normies and hoping that they're paying attention. When we get to Roku, that's the whole thing, is putting ourselves in the faces of regular people.
Mm-hmm.
They click on that Madness Entertainment logo. They want to go, what the heck is that? It's right there next to Netflix on the Roku lineup, right? It's like, okay, they click on that. And then they see 40 different shows that they can binge watch.
Or, somebody like me, Pops, that used to, when I was a lot younger, used to enjoy comic books and doing things like that. And I thought the culture was like almost dead, especially after COVID. Everybody was like, man, it's just, but then you find out something like this exists. And you like get all excited about it, like, yes, people like me. I can actually enjoy things like I used to back in the day again with like-minded people. It's
Exactly.
Great ideas.
I knew it had never gone away, but COVID was a rough time for everybody.
It was.
At the same time, that's where our whole thing was born. It was born out of COVID and the necessity to help people get eyes on what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I work from home 24 hours a day. Like, I don't have to go in the office. And I'm so happy because every time I would go into that office, I'd be like, why am I here? Like, I could do my work in like half a day. I'd rather be, at home.
Yeah.
Around.
And I can do it at home. That's the whole thing, right?
It pushed the technology forward, which is nice.
Yeah. So, like you said, you do video game. You work for a video game developer. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna make you out yourself unless you want to. But how much fun is it to be involved in that?
It is definitely a very interesting industry. I've been doing it for almost a quarter century now. I can't believe it. Like 25 years. That's coming up here, in less than a year. And Jesus, man, like we were at a monthly game developer drink up recently, and like last week, and it was one of those where um, there was a graduating class there. They were like, hey, let's go to this thing to celebrate. And so there was a young lady there. She was showing us her artwork and stuff, and she was like 1 years old when I started, in the game industry. And it's just one of those where it's just everyone that I talk to in college classes and stuff, they've been here. I've been doing it longer than they've been alive. And
Right.
that's a pretty crazy milestone to really think about it. Like all the games I've ever worked on are right in this section right here. These are the physical ones. It's like three of those rows. Those are the physical ones. I have a lot of digital, but it's like I have 60 titles under my belt, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think like how much content we've created. But I've also gotten to the point where it's just boring now. The first couple times, sure, it's just one of these things where it's like you go to Walmart and you pick up a game and you're just like, holy shit, like I made this game. This is
Right.
awesome. And then, by the time you're about 30 or so,
You
your
made the
30th game, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I
I'll just
made
order
this.
on that. I'll just order on Amazon and just toss it in the pile, that kind of thing. But now with comics, not only am I, not having to wait 6 years to have a finished product, because that's
Right.
technically that's how long these games are taking now. Um, I can have a comic out in 3 to 4 months, and it's almost instant gratification. Like you make it, you take it to a show, you put it there, you get instant feedback, and they're happy, and that is so rewarding. We were at South Texas Comic Con down in the Rio Grande Valley, right next to Mexico, and that so far has been our best shows. We're from there, so it was like going back home, and my
Right.
comic takes place down there, so it's an even easier sell, which is fantastic. But the instant gratification that we got, so our friend Joe sells his book, Malia Mayhem, and we had his books, and this family came in. They had these two little girls, and they bought both of his books, and they ran off. Throughout the entire weekend, they kept coming back to our our, our, our booth to ask questions about the comic, and they were asking like questions about Malia and all this stuff. And then on the last day, the girls came back and they had drawn, not fan art, but they made us drawings. Like it was a bee pig, which was adorable. And they were like, yeah, they sat there and they drew, and they said, we want to take it back. So they ran, and then they asked us to sign the books and stuff like that. And that you just don't get that with games, man. Game consumers are so jaded now. It's just like they can see the most high tech, highly advanced video game, leading edge technology, looks ultra realistic, and then they say this looks like a PlayStation 2 game. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, it doesn't. But that's how jaded like most of these gamers are. And not everyone, but these are the people who complain are always the loudest, right? They always rise to the top. And so it just sucks to work on something for 6 years, and then someone plays it for 30 minutes, or it doesn't even play it. They just watch someone play it on YouTube or whatever, and then they just go crap on it, right? I think comics are a lot different. It's pretty fresh. It feels nice. Like it's just like, wow, as Ghost Pepper said, the people at the shows, they are the hardcore ones. They are the people that are looking for something new outside of the big two, big three, if you want to include Image, but mostly the big two. And that makes us excited because it's just so hard to reach those people. We have to travel everywhere just to get the stuff in front of them. But yeah, that's kind of like a big dump, right, on how I like, my frame of thought and all that. Game industry, I love it. I don't think I'd be doing anything else, honestly. But I'm also a production artist. We make a product, and I'm a realist when it comes to all that stuff. I've seen enough bad reviews. It just rolls off my skin. I'm like, whatever. Did I have fun making it? Yes, then that's all I give a shit about. I don't care. You know,
Cool.
I'm getting paid really well. I could travel around the world. So at the end of the day, I'm still the one winning. So whatever.
Well, another thing you say, about like video games. So it takes you 6 years to make a video game, and it's one story, right?
Yep.
There's no really building on it. Maybe you make another game, it takes 6 more years, whatever, another part of the story. Comic books, you can continuously progress the story on and on and on, and make new characters and kill some off and bring them back from the dead, and just be as fantastical as you want to be with these stories, and have them keep growing. The video game, it's one story, and you play it, you beat it, it's over. You know what I mean? And then that's it. And maybe go do side quests or something. But other than that, that's it.
Yeah.
Comic books, it's unlimited. You can go any which direction with any story, any part of the story, any character in the story. You can have spin-offs, you can have this, you can have that. Yeah, it's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not every game takes 6 years, mind you, but on
Right.
average, it's about 4 to 6 years to make a complete AAA video game. Some of the indie stuff can be like 2 years, which is where I'm most comfortable. I like making games that would take like a year and a half. 10 months to a year and a half is like the sweet spot, man. Because at that point, you do have this ability to make a game, iterate, and then from the business side, you can pivot, right? If the game doesn't do well, boom, another thing,
Right.
as opposed to a 6 year project, a $200 million project. Oh, Jesus, man, like it's crazy.
And you got to know you're going to make your money back.
Yeah, yeah.
Branding and name recognition obviously sell a lot of stuff. Like anybody selling anything says Fortnite on it's going to make money right now. Even if it's just a basic skin, right? People are going to buy it.
And that's the trap that we fall into, right? So in the 80s, we had this glorious time of new IPs, right? We were able to advertise towards children. I mean, whether you like it or not, I have my mixed feelings about it, but I can't deny that during that time was just like this just plethora of IPs, right? Because people were just like boom, 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 like let's throw all these IPs that sell to kids, sell to kids, sell to kids, because it was a gold mine. And that was stopped again, whether you like it or not. It was stopped. That's what happened. And now we can't get away from that, right? The 80s is something that's going to last forever because because the people with money want to make their money back. They can look at Ninja Turtles and say, well, if I just invest money in Ninja Turtles, I have this expected return. And no one wants to do new IP. So now you have consumers who are sick and tired of like the big two, right? They're enough of Batman, enough of Captain America and all that stuff. They want new ideas. But then as a consumer, it's like, well, my hard-earned money, I want something that is guaranteed consistency at least. And there's, so they're just going to recycle and go back to the same old shit. And it's just like they complain and say, why is Captain, what are we doing right now? What is it? X-Men is going back to Age of Apocalypse again? Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, so-and-so is going to forget his identity again. It's just like these fucking, but the consumers don't want to take the risk. And then the big two, they don't want to take the risk either. So you got these two scared shitless like entities that don't want to take risks, but all they do is complain about it, right? And it's like it's starting to get diminishing returns, right? Like the cinema is not bringing back those people anymore because it's like they're talking about rebooting the MCU, and it's like, oh, are we going to do this again? Like,
yeah.
It's
I don't
like
want to see Uncle Ben again. I really don't. I don't ever want to see Uncle Ben in another movie.
It's just, you know what? Yeah, no shit, right? At least the new one didn't do that. They just skipped that. But it's just like they used to go to San Diego Comic-Con and other Comic-Cons to find the bleeding edge ideas. And somewhere along the line, they just stopped. And that's where you get the bleeding edge ideas. You get these things where people, hobbyists and stuff, we're tired. We want to make our own comics. We're tired of buying Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man and Captain America. So we want to give these ideas. And you know what? A majority of us would be more than happy to sell it or to get it out there. But it's just that lack of risk. They just don't want to do it.
I know people who have long-term stories plans, right? And they don't want to sell it because they'll lose the rights to writing the story the way they wanted to. And I totally get it.
I'll sell whatever.
Well, see, that's just it. There's some people that are like, man, I'm doing this hoping I can sell it and make a buck, right? And there's other people that are doing it because, okay, like Carissa, and that story's long and out. She's already like 5 issues out ahead of it, She don't want to sell the rights to that until it's done. Maybe to Netflix, not to, after it's done. Then if they do whatever, she got her story in print. She got it out there the way she wanted to. And then, okay, now you can hash it. You can do whatever you want with it. Here you go. But the people who have it in print got the real story, right? Just like all those old comic books we have that tell the real story of the fake movies they're making today in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
World War Hulk Renok or whatever the hell that thing was.
Right.
You know?
Well,
Jesus.
like on my end, the way I approach it is entirely different. It's not from a make money kind of standpoint. It's for me, when I view like, yeah, I've been into entertainment industry, like I said, 25 years. I've worked on all kinds of things, worked on movies, worked on games, comics. Even before my current comics, I worked in comics before. Uh, make toys, everything. The way I see it is I know my reach. I do not have as big a reach as a production company. So I see it as an event. It all depends on how you sign your contracts and stuff. But I also have 1,000 ideas in my head. I'm okay with selling my ideas because I have other ones. To me, ideas are a dime a dozen. It's just all about execution. That's you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't execute on it, then it's does no good, right? It's not worth it a penny. So, like with Teen Strike, for example, I do have roughly 22 issues, 22 to 24 right now, at maximum 26. I haven't finished out the final story arc, but so far I've written 17 issues are completed. Um, I am currently storyboarding issue 7, so we're getting close to being halfway done there. Um, and I plan on getting the entirety of this done within 3 years. Like it'll be done, and I'm and moving on to the next thing. Um, but like my other books, they're a lot shorter. This is my personal project. I don't know if I'd ever sold this, but this is my personal baby, right? It's my passion project.
Right.
But my other ones are like going to be 3 issues, 4 issues maximum, and it's just to get an idea out there, put it out there, and be done with it, right? Just boom, boom. I have too much in here that I need to get out. And I'm not married to any of that stuff. If someone wants to buy those and take it to Netflix or try and option it or whatever, go ahead. Whatever, I don't care. I'll just work on something else.
See that? See that? Kaz, are you watching? We could have stuff under the mat. We could have existing books under the Madness banner. Oh, you could just buy this from the dude and then just pay him to keep making them. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like my next book, once I get a couple pages to show, I'm gonna definitely be approaching. I'm gonna submit to Bad Bug because I think it fits under Bad Bug. My next 2 books will probably fit under Bad Bug pretty well. I'll approach them. Hey, they have a way wider net than I do. They might like it, they might not. Who cares? I'll just do it myself.
And
Doesn't bother
and
me.
that's the other thing. I'm not familiar with them, and now that's somebody I'm going to be. Hey Jesse, hook me up with them people. How do I get to them?
Yeah.
I'm going to promote them too because I want to promote anybody that's doing good stuff. And if
Yeah, Bad
that's
Bug's
where your
awesome.
next books would be, that's somebody I'd be wanting to help expand that platform that they already have.
Bad Bug's awesome. They do a wide range of books, mostly more on the adult oriented side of things, but uh they also do non 18 plus, but most of their stuff has a real like kind of like a twist to it. So they do a lot of like horror like kind of stuff. I'm my next book, which I'm not prepared yet to do a presentation on it, but it's Mexican Grindhouse. It's basically like any of those Robert Rodriguez books or movies and stuff like that. It's going to be something that's ultra violent and just insanity, and meets the paranormal. Like think of Machete meets paranormal. Um, that's one of the things I've always wanted to do. And then my book after that is going to be a sexy, cheesecakey kind of Wizard of Oz book as well, based on the witches. So, I got that stuff coming. Testing the waters, right? Let's see how an adult book does with Kickstarter. They seem to do well. We'll see.
Oh yeah, look, it's the same as any book, right? As long as you drop it in the right demographic, in the right groups on Facebook, right? Okay, you drop it in the right groups, you're gonna do fine. It's all about eyes on. It's always gonna be. Marketing is really important. How you market is really important. Where you market is really important. You got to make sure you're reaching the audience you're trying to sell to. I'm getting better at putting things in the right place. and
Yeah.
That definitely has a lot to do with sales and getting seen. So that's the kind of stuff I have to concentrate on. Right? As the guy trying to market everything and not make sure my lamp crashes.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Yep. I guess the lamp really did crash.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, going off of what Pop said, it really does depend. You can put an adult book out there and it can make no money, right? If you're just not putting it in front of the right people, and that's really important, right? But the big thing is to not go in with expectations. A lot of people feel entitled. They say, "Oh, my comic has titties on the cover, right? So therefore, they look at like Lady Death, and they're like, oh, well, Lady Death did fucking $120,000. So if I put titties on mine, it's gonna do that." It's like no, because at the end of the day, whether you got titties or not, like it's gonna sell to a certain amount of people, but it's gonna be the quality of what's inside that's gonna keep them there, right? And so that's
And
the one thing I'm doing with.
You can't look at somebody like Brian Polito
Oh.
and go, "Oh, I'm gonna do what he did," unless you put the 25 years that he's got in.
Yep.
And then you can say, "I deserve that." Maybe I've been doing this for 25 years and I've been selling books all this time. I've had to go through court to protect my IPs. I've had stuff stolen from me. Brian's had a storied career, right?
Yep.
People know
Lady Death we're talking about.
Yeah, people know who he is. It's not.
It's just people get this like entitlement. I see it all over the place. I see it with recent graduates too. They're like, "Hey, I just graduated. Give me a job," and I'm like,
"Where's mine? Yeah.
Fucking work for it. Like, where's your portfolio? You haven't done anything with it. Like, do something." And so I'll be testing the waters there just to see exactly where that book lands. I want to do it for fun, anyways. There'll be titties on my book, and let's just see what it does.
Mm-hmm. Hey, to me, it doesn't matter if the story's good. Look, if I read your book with tits on the cover and the story's good, I'm probably going to buy book 2.
Yeah.
If I read your book with tits on the cover and it sucks, I'm probably not going to buy book 2 because I don't pay for titties. Okay.
Yeah.
I pay for a good.
It'll get, it gets me every so often. Like sometimes the interior doesn't matter. It's just the quality of the cover, but that's not all the time. And again, if I could plug it, Big Titty Goth Girlfriends on the Moon, this thing here is not my book, but damn, it's such a fun read. This is like if you ever like anime or anything like that from the 90s, this is exactly that. And this is the best book I've seen that strikes that balance of cheesecake and story. And so I look at that, and there you go, lizard tits. That's always good too.
Holy crap, Billy!
I have some friends that would probably just buy your book based on that because they're really into lizard chicks.
Yes, lizard people is a big. It's becoming more popular. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah. Yeah, monster. It's monster fuckers, right? Like
no, they call them scalies, bro. Like you got furries, now you got scalies.
Oh well, no, scalies has been a thing since the 90s. Like I have friends that have been scalies since, or OG scalies, but because Japan is always light years ahead of us, they've been on the Monster Girl track way longer than us.
Oh, yeah.
And so we call them monster fuckers, and these are people that just really love monster girls. Like you can put any Bigfoot girls, whatever you want, but they're monster girls, snake girls, all that stuff.
Tentacles,
and so that's starting to bleed over here again. Yeah, monster fuckers. that's just what we call them. I have books like monster girl dictionaries. It's just like, here are all these sexy monster girls. I'm like, hell yeah, whatever.
That's fun.
Great.
I don't know nothing about that, but I'm good. There's certain books I can't buy anyway because I got 4 grandkids around the house, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I have that too. That side of my apartment is all like anime girl statues, and whenever our friends bring our kids over, I always have to kind of like look around. I'm like, is there anything I need to take to my room? Anything I need to put a washcloth over or something? It's like,
I've only bought one book with boobs on it, and it was Simon Potier's book, and it's because I was giving him a hard time about drawing his character naked in a cavern grotto under a waterfall, and I kept telling him, "Get out of my grotto, leave my girl alone." Right? I kept telling him, "Get out of it, leave her alone." Right? So then, when he did the book, he decided to do a bust cover of her.
Yeah.
And of course, I had to buy it because I gave him so much crap about it the whole time. So, I had to get that one. But that's the only boob book I've ever bought. Only one.
Yeah. Just strictly for that, without reading the
I
interior.
bought it because I was giving him a hard time. Yeah. I mean, it's good. No, that verse is good stuff. Simon's books are good, but I bought that cover just because of all the hard time I gave him about drawing her naked in the first place. Yeah.
So, like, I have people that are like, why would you buy anything just for the cover? And I'm like, look, you go to these conventions, do you buy prints? And they're like, yeah, I buy prints. Well, for the exact same cost as a print, you can get a cover with story on the inside.
Yeah.
Because most prints are like $15-20 anyways.
I don't buy prints because, look, I started with prints and I didn't buy them. People sent them to me. Like Jim O'Reilly sent me this package of prints, and then Sketchy Guy Nevada sent me another big package of prints, and I give them away. But at first I was putting them on my wall, and then I started getting original art.
Mm-hmm.
And the prints would come down and the art would go up. And before you know it, I have this box of prints. So now I give prints away. I only buy art. I don't buy prints anymore because they won't be on the wall in place of real art.
Yeah. I only have one print on the wall, and it's just one of my favorite characters. I just had to buy it. It's the only print. I'm like, I don't buy prints because it will become a problem. As you can see, I do have this kind of addictive personality where I'm buying video games or whatever.
There's just not enough room on the walls. That's all. And who wants to put them in a portfolio?
Yeah, I'm not into that either.
You can't display them.
Yeah.
I only have one piece of original art too, and that right now is just put away because I don't have a place to put it. But now that I'm looking, I'm like, I do have a place I could put it now. I need to frame it and get it up there.
I have certain comics that I have framed. I have a lot of original art framed. A lot of it.
Comics, I got 3 of them on the wall. I got the UK run of Transformers the movie, 3 issues, which is based on the original script, not the script that was made into the cartoon. So there's a lot of differences in it, and I just really love the UK Transformers artwork. So I got those 3. Like, I don't even have my comics up on the wall yet. I need to figure out a way I can display a whole run of them. I don't know. I gotta figure that out.
See, they have those tracks.
Yeah.
Like I have up here. Let me show you real quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I gotta turn off this background thing. Turn it off. You see that track thing up there?
Yeah.
Those are all Lady Death homage covers.
Oh, nice.
That's what those are. Right. And
that's a good idea.
Ding, 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 ding. The Walking Dead, all of them. The Infinity Gauntlet, all the homages that Brian did for Lady Death. For as long as I was buying them, eventually it's like even Brian was killing me with way too much stuff. You're giving everybody your autograph. You're diminishing the value on everything, and it's like, I love you, Brian, but I think the whole thing is he doesn't like the flippers. So it's
I hate that too.
Yeah, everybody gets the same thing for the same price, and they I'm not unhappy with this product by any means. But I can't. I want the homage covers to a point where when you start homaging stuff that's, then I'm probably not buying them anymore. It was the good ones,
I like what Headless Bourgeois said. The rise of the slee stack fetish was inevitable. That's a good callback.
Man, that's funny. That is funny.
I missed that show.
Land of the Lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so You know, as I've grown older, you know, I used to watch all that stuff on Nickelodeon, right? Back in the day. You know, I was young. I didn't know anything about lore or anything like that. But man, that Land of the Lost stuff was really freaking cool. A lot of like inner Earth conspiracy theories at that. All the gem powered technologies and stuff.
It
Really
used
need
to
to go
crack
watch a
me
deep
up.
dive on that.
I love that show. I used to watch, but see, you got to remember when I was watching stuff like this, they didn't even have Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah,
That was just a Saturday morning thing, and it was one of those weird ones because it wasn't in the regular lineups.
yeah,
Like Saturday morning NBC lineup, it would be on an hour before that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like it was always hard to find.
So my question here to Headless is he talking about the original Land of the Lost or the Nickelodeon reboot from the 90s? Because I got into Land of the Lost by the Nickelodeon reboot, and then I started watching the original stuff, and
Yeah, the
it
original.
was fantastic. Yeah, it was great. They both were great in their own way, but just it's just weird, like because I only really got into the Hollow Earth stuff and all that lore and all that. I love watching the videos on that only in my adult life. So it's really strange for me to think like, wow, that's reaching back all the way into like the 60s and even earlier than that. I think it's the 40s or so. 40s and 30s is when they
They
started
were
really talking
trying
about it.
to they were trying to normalize some things for us. You know,
Yeah, I never seen the reboot. I watched the originals as a kid. The reboot is a lot more child friendly, but it's a lot of fun too. I really like the theme song. Actually, I like the theme song from both of them. They're pretty good. But man, that was Marty Croft. Was it what's the name of that production company? Croft and something in Croft, Seals and Croft. No,
Mark,
I mean they did all the
yeah,
uh,
I know who
the
you're talking about. I'm just not pulling it.
yeah.
In my mind.
I want to say it's Seal and Marty Croft, but I could be absolutely wrong with that. But you know they did Sigmund the Sea Monster and all those shows are fantastic.
All right. We've talked for 43 minutes and we have not shown anything about your campaign.
That's absolutely okay. I'm just happy to be here.
It's time. We have to do this. That's why we're here.
All right.
Here's time.
All right. Let's stop the fun. Okay.
Now, no, I want this to be more fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to share it yourself so you can scroll through it at the pace you're talking, or do you want me to share it and stumble through behind you trying to keep up with what you're talking?
Let me. I have to. Whoa. Let's see. Let me do this. I'll just pop it up here. All right. So we have roughly what 29 hours to go, almost 28 hours, something like that. So, okay, maximize that. All right. I'm gonna present here. Share my screen. Entire screen. We'll do screen 2. Make sure I'm not sharing the wrong thing. I'm giving away all my secrets.
Okay
here.
to me. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so
people.
Team Strike. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, people, pay attention. Now's the time when you read the banner right down below, right there. It says, please share this show out to all your socials. Promote our indie creators and their shows, channels, and campaigns. There's the link for that. Share this stuff out, everybody. The longer you make my reach, the better you make us all look.
Thank you.
I was hoping that sounded okay.
I also pulled up my Miro board just in case, so I could actually walk people through the comic and all that stuff. So I put that aside. But anyways, yeah. So Teen Strike. So for the people not familiar, obviously this is my first time on this specific show, so I wouldn't expect anyone to be familiar. But this is a very personal story of mine and my friends. We wrote this about 30 years ago when we were in high school. So this has kind of like a 90s nostalgic kind of feel to it. Basically, we have always been nerds at heart. Always did that. uh, unapologetically, but we were picked on a lot as kids, oh, you guys still like comic books and all that, especially in South Texas when it's like you're not on a football team, right? You're not royalty at that point in time, which was ironic because in our school, if you were in the band, you were like royalty because our band was really damn good. And so we won tons of awards, more than our football team. So being in the band didn't necessarily mean you were a nerd because we had all the jocks in the band too, because that was also kind of cool. But liking things, this was before Pokemon, all that stuff. So, we would get picked on a lot. And so as a response, my friends started drawing like superhero versions of ourselves, like beating up the bullies and all that stuff. And that eventually led to, oh, let's make our friends into superheroes. And then that also led into like, hey, we can make this into a story. And so we made a story out of it. Nothing like super crazy detailed or anything. We just kind of had a general story. And then, when graduation time came, all our friends would help us write stories. I have like a collection of scripts that our friends would write and everything. And then when graduation came, we kind of just set it aside and went on, college and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And every time we get together, we would sit down and draw, and we would always draw our characters and evolving. I was like, yeah, I was thinking, now that I'm in college or I see this kind of perspective, I want to add this to the story. And so we would just keep drawing and evolving over the past, like, at the time that I decided to make this, it was probably like the past, 27 years or something like that. Always wanted to make a comic, never did. I obviously got into entertainment and started doing other things and my ideas in other areas. I worked on a movie called Grandma's Boy, and one of the characters, yeah, one of the
That's a great movie.
characters that we made for this book is in Grandma's Boy. It's pretty cool to see something like that.
Are you
What's up,
talking about the grandma's boy with the
I mean, yeah, I suppose that's the. But so I made the video. Me and my team, we made the video games that are presented and all that stuff and everything.
That's
Which
awesome, dude.
next year is the 20th anniversary of that, by the way. So
I love Grandma's Boy. I just watched it the other day.
yeah, I was at a show down in South Texas with the main star Alan Covert. So I told him, I introduced myself and told him that I still have a copy of those games, and I'm like, this is the opportunity that next year's the 20th anniversary. Let's do something. So maybe next year we'll have something to show and market to bring people in for that. But anyways, it was kind of cool. One of the characters that we made for that, we put into the movie. So being there, sitting and actually watching a creation of yours, like in the background in the posters and as part of the fighting game that they're Eternal Death Slayer that they're playing, that was kind of cool. So,
Awesome.
that was kind of my path. And I thought that that's the only thing I did. So fast forward to 2018, we had one of our inner circle of friends pass away. And that was extremely hard on all of us. And we all didn't know how to handle it, right? Like, I only can assume that you guys have gone through this. It's not something I'd ever wish for people to go through, but when you have one of your best friends pass away, it's hard. It's real hard.
Yeah.
And so I deal with tragedy and trauma through artwork. And it took me a couple years to really try and figure out how to deal with his death. And it really came down to, I was like, I forget what. Oh yeah, I got from Joe and Roy. They sent me their first comic book, and I was like sitting here and I read through it and I loved it. And I was just kind of like sitting here and I was like looking at it and I was just like, we need to do Teen Strike. Like that's what I need to do. And at that time, I had started doing Teen Strike as a video game because again, that's what I'd known for the past at that time, like 23 years or 22 years. And so getting this comic in my hand inspired me. And I was like, wow, like we had always talked about since the 90s making comics. Why have we never done this before? And yet here I am sitting with the first comic. And I was like looking at my screen and I'm like, that's going to take too fucking long to make Teen Strike into a video game. And God knows if I'll ever finish it. So why not actually make it a comic book? And then everything started clicking. Doom, doom, doom. Everything just started making sense in my mind. But there's a love story in Teen Strike that still didn't make sense. And I was like, how can I make this make sense? Because at the time in high school, I had a crush on one of my friends, and nothing ever happened there. But the story was written around her at the time. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be that creep that writes about a relationship that never happened, right?
Right.
So it didn't make sense.
You
And then I
called
was
her up
thinking,
and you asked her out.
you know, but it was one of those where I looked at what I was doing with Teen Strike already, and it had bled out beyond high school, and I started incorporating my college friends and stuff like that in there. And so I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just make this about my first
Rewrite,
girlfriend, right?
yeah, rewrite this about
Because
her.
I'm not ashamed to admit it. I didn't have a girlfriend in high school. I was too much of a nerd. I like drawing. I like doing. I mean, in my opinion, if I would have had a girlfriend back home, I probably would have never moved to Dallas. I probably wouldn't be on this career path. I'd probably be at home, happy in a different way. But I'm very thankful for where I'm at in life, and I'm very happy in my current life. So it was one of those where it's like, why don't I just tell that story, right? The love story about my first girlfriend. So once that clicked in my head, everything fell into place. And so that was one of the keys to the whole thing. And then there's something else that happens in the book that in another incident in real life that had to make sense or had to click in my head before I was ready to do this. And it all made sense. So now that puts me here with Teen Strike 3 and 4. I got 1 and 2 out last year, 3 and 4 this year. Five is done, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're waiting on the last letters. So issue 5 is done. 6 is 50% done. So 5 and 6 will be out this fall, and then 7 and 8 will be out the beginning in 1 year. 7 and 8 will complete the first story arc, and then the second story arc is going to start immediately as soon as 7 and 8 are done, and that's going to take me up to issue. That one is 9 issues, so that takes me up to issue 17. Again, that'll probably be a year and a half to 2 years, depending on how I structure those. And then the final story arc is the shortest story arc, but that one will probably be by 2030. It should all be done, right? It sounds like a long time away, but it's really not.
No, it
So,
sounds awesome. It's nice that you plan things out. A
oh,
lot of people don't know where they're going to go from one story arc to the next.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's an ending and a beginning, and
Mhm.
when you end a story arc, you still have to leave something open, letting people know we'll be back.
Yeah, and so a lot of times, with everyone here, you're going to be spending your hard-earned money on things, and like we had talked earlier, right? You want consistency, you want like a certain product. Well, it's really hard, honestly, for indie comics to really promise that because life changes and you just don't know. Some people, they do rely on the comic books funding the next issue, and I feel for them because I've been in those situations before where you can't really count on anyone else but yourself. I'm lucky enough that the royalties that I make at work are enough to pay for all this, and so the entire run basically is paid for. I have all that money set aside, so
Yeah.
it's getting done one way or another. Now, whether I make other books, that's another story. Like those books will have to prove themselves to be successful in order for me to continue doing those. This one's going to get told because this is like a promise to my friend, right? Like he passed away. Like I want to finish telling the story that he's part of, that he helped write in high school. So we're doing that. But like, if I can throw this in here real quick, hold on, let me close some
Let
of
me
this
see how
stuff
well my
first.
memory works. His name was Gabriel or something, right?
Jerry, yeah,
Jerry.
yeah. So
Is
like
there a Gabe in your team? I can't remember.
you can see here, just like this is my entire writing process. This is my Miro board with all my writing. So I do very structured writing. As you can see, these are 3 story arcs here: yellow, blue, and green. It's all done. It's all structured. I'm just trying to finish the last story arc is the one that I'm trying to. I'll begin writing this one in summer. I kind of gave myself a break, but I wrote these 2 right back to back. This is a complete story, by the way. So it's not going to end on maybe there'll be more books. No, it's going to end. It's not going to end in a very happy way, but it will end in a very satisfactory way. Not all stories are happy stories.
No,
Um,
no,
and
they're not.
but that's just a kind of glimpse into my madness on how organized I am and how many products I've made in the past and how I am
What's your
successful.
favorite movie that doesn't end with a happy ending? What's your favorite?
Oh, I mean, Jesus. Well,
And
My
I
favorite
have one.
movie.
I have one jumps right to mind right away.
So the first one that jumps to my mind is um oh, that drug one. Um where they are all addicted to heroin, not Train Spotting, but
Requiem for a Dream.
yeah, Requiem for a Dream. That one's one of my favorites, and the other one is an anime called Perfect Blue.
See, for me, it's Pay It Forward.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That doesn't end happily, even though it has a great message, right?
Yeah.
Does not end happily at all.
Right.
And, oh, what was the other one? Man, damn. Oh, Brian's Song.
Yeah.
The original tragedy movie, right? The original tear jerker about Gail Sayers and Brian Piccolo.
Mine was probably Gangs in New York.
Yeah.
And anime side was probably Berserk.
Yeah.
It ended crazy.
All great stuff, and I mean, there's so many of them, right? Like, if I really had time to think, I could start pulling out a whole bunch of them, like Evangelions horribly, you know, like there's so many.
That's why I brought it out as a question like that, because there are a lot of them, and how many people have separated that genre away that way, right?
Yeah.
You know, what's your favorite unhappy ending?
I actually hadn't thought about Pay It Forward in a long time. I really like that one a lot. That's a really good Haley Joel Osment.
This dude was my boss, and he says, "Dude, go home and watch this movie." And I went home and watched it. I had like an 11-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that did not go well with me. I did not want to see a little kid getting knifed in the schoolyard, same age as my kid. Right? I went back to work next day hot.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I was mad. I was literally mad at the dude for like, come on, man. What kind of karma you trying to lay on me, dude?
and I think that one of the bigger I don't want to say misunderstandings, but I guess it's I think a lot of people think that stories have to be happy to be good, or to have a happy ending in order to be good, and that's really not the case. Now, personally, am I going to go rewatch Requiem for a Dream? No. I watch that very so often. You know, it is not a movie I could just consume.
Yeah, that's a messed up movie, bro.
It is. And even like Train Spotting is really good. But see, I like those movies because of the performances, and I also think that they have a really good message that they send out. Because again, not a lot of people's stories end well, and a lot of times it's decisions that they make in life. Whether you agree with what they're doing or not, like, that's just a general life advice, right? Like, that's what happens. Not everyone gets a happy ending. That doesn't mean that they're bad stories. They're really great stories. So on Teen Strike,
that would have been a great movie if I'd have seen it 3 years earlier or 3 years later, but it fell right on the age of my son at the time. And I was like, dude, I got a son that age at home, right? That's the last thing I want to see is a little kid that age getting knifed up in the schoolyard. It was just, it's like,
but it's
there's a million movies. Why you telling me to go home and watch that one?
But it impacted you, and that's the sign of a good story.
Kids. But he didn't have no kids. Okay, so the way it impacted him, the way it impacted me were entirely different.
And that's good. That's actually what artwork is, right? Because artwork is subjective, and storytelling is an artwork, and depending on who's consuming it, you get different results, different reactions. And that's how you know something is good, right? When it causes a conversation. It impacted you in such a way that's the first movie you thought of, right?
It was a great movie. I just didn't, like I said, the time frame of my life, it was the wrong movie.
Of course. We all have stuff like that.
I love the message. The message of the movie was awesome. Just the way it ended was harsh.
Yeah. Some people always jump to Marley and Me, right? It's got this beautiful golden retriever puppy and all this and that, and at the end he dies, and it's like, Well, thank you. It's a romance comedy, and then the dog dies at the end.
Oh,
I
Yeller.
just had a golden retriever licking my arm. That's funny that you said that right when that happened.
But what I'm trying to at least achieve with mine is, I say it's not a happy ending. It's more of a bittersweet ending. It's not, a lot of times life takes you and the person you love in different directions, and
Yes.
I'm going to address that. I'm addressing, the death of my friend is one of the big things that I'm going to be dealing with in here. But I'm also going to address other things too. Like sometimes friends could be friends, and at the end you just go your separate ways and never talk again. Doesn't mean you hate them, doesn't mean they hate you. It's just
Mhm.
you grow up, you grow apart, and that's the way it goes. And the same thing goes with your girlfriends and stuff. Sometimes, you can be perfect for each other, but life takes you in different ways. And that doesn't mean that you're not perfect for each other later. Doesn't mean anything. It just means that you have your direction you need to go and they have to go in their direction. You know what? That's perfectly fine. And so, that's the way it's going to end. I just don't know how to write that. And that's the most difficult thing for me. So I need to really tackle that issue.
That really touches on something too when you talk about going your separate ways. I had a really good friend, Mike Sherman, in Minneapolis when I was a teenager, and I moved to Arizona, and I only went back to Phoenix like once in the
Mhm.
early 80 or 81 to see my friends again, and then I never went back. I went back to
Right.
Arizona and I stayed there, right? And I lost touch with some of those people. A lot of them we've reconnected since Facebook. I mean, uh, we all are know what's up with each other. But my best friend, Mike, when I went to find Mike in my 30s and find out what was up with Mike, I was 3 weeks late.
Yeah.
I found out
Man.
he had gotten cancer and had just passed away a couple weeks before, right? And it's like
So hard.
sometimes look, guys, if those people really mean something to you, try not to lose touch, because when you
Exactly.
do decide, hey, I missed that guy, I want to talk to him again, it might be too late.
Yeah. And man, that's heartbreaking, Pop. Sorry to hear.
What
But
I mean, it kind of sucked. I was like,
it
damn, I was
does.
like, ugh, you know,
But it happens all too many times, right?
yeah.
One time is too many times. Uh, I have been surrounded by death a lot, like my entire life. I had a lot of high school people die around me and stuff, just for being dumb kids, riding on the roof of
Mhm.
cars and even accidents, just things, suicide, a lot of suicide, a lot of that stuff. And so these books are all dedicated to that. So this first story arc is dedicated to Jerry, my
Right.
one of the first friends that I met that was my age, my entire life, period. I met him when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Um, the next book is dedicated to my dad, and then my dad after my dad, because my dad passed away when I was like, my early 20s, mid
Mm.
20s. And then my second father was my business father. He's the one that came in. He's one of my best friends' dads, and he kind of like took over that father role of like coaching me on how to be successful in my career, stuff like that. So it's gonna be dedicated to those two. And then the third one is gonna be dedicated to just everyone else. I'm planning on making a collage of just all the people that we've lost along the way. We're making a game right now that we're finally, hopefully, going to be able to finish it. This is my personal game, mine and my friends. We're going to finally be able to finish it this year. And I told him a couple years ago, Matt, I was like, dude, we need to finish this because I'm tired of adding people to the in memory of screen at the end. And it was happening every fucking year. Like I had to add more people to it. I'm like, what's going on? Well, COVID is what went on, but it's just a lot of people died during that time. And it was just insane. I'm like, man, I need to get it because the whole game is about death too. And it's just like, it sucks, man. And I don't know what anyone here believes. I don't necessarily believe in anything, but whatever happens after our time here, is really left to our faith or to our beliefs or whatever. All I know is that none of us really know 100% of what happens, other than you can be ironclad in your faith and can say you can believe, but you can't prove it. And so none of us really know what happens. And I'm not scared of that. Whatever. I've done enough in my life. My career is, you know, great.
It would be really cool though. There's some people that you know have the visitations from people who have passed. Right? They see them.
Oh yeah.
They hear them. Whatever. And those people, they have unshakable faith. You know what I mean? You can't tell them no. There's no argument for the fact because they've seen somebody who passed and they know they're still there somewhere. There's something, right? There's something next. I kind of envy those people, but at the same time, I don't know that I'd want to be one.
Well, I am one of those people. That's why I'm so affected by other like death around me and stuff because I've seen like Jerry passed away. I have seen him. I've seen my dad. There's been nights where some of my friends have passed away from high school that night I didn't know, but I've had like dreams like and I'm working it all into this comic book. There's an epilogue for the next story arc that is directly a dream I had when my friend Booger passed away. And when Booger passed away that night, he used to live down the road from me quite a ways, but we had the same bus route. And I had a dream one night, which was the night that he died. I didn't know until like a day or two after, but the night that he died, I had a dream that we were sitting on the school bus and we were going, and then we passed his house, but he didn't get off the school bus. And my neighborhood was the final one on the bus route. And at the end, it was just me and him on the bus, and we were going, and we to sum it up, we got to my neighborhood. I got up and I'm like, "Hey, you didn't get off the you're gonna get off the bus with me?" He's like, "No, I think I'm just gonna ride this bus." And I was like, "You sure you're gonna just stay on the bus?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stay on this bus." And I was like, "Okay, I'll talk to you later." And I got off the bus, and he just stayed on the bus and continues to ride it. And that was the night that he passed away. My friend Tom, who committed suicide over the summer of my between my freshman and sophomore year, I had a dream with him. Um, I can't. I don't know if this was the night that he died, but this was before because back then, and back then before the internet, you just didn't know anything until school started. And so for us, that summer, I had a dream with Tom. We would always play basketball. We'd always play basketball. Him and some other guys would play basketball during lunch. And we're playing basketball and the school bell rings. It's almost the exact same dream. School bell rings. And I'm like, "Oh, we gotta get to class." And he's like, he like turns around and he like grabs a zipper in the air and like unzips reality and like it opens up. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go through here." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird, right? Okay, I'll talk to you later." And he just kind of steps in and just closes the zipper behind it. And I can't tell you the amount of dreams that I've had like that. So for me, that does tell me something. I'm more of a believer of the quantum realm than anything, um, fifth dimensional beings and all that stuff versus what the guy being paid to preach to me tells me I should believe in. I don't believe in organized religion,
No,
but I believe in something, like, hey, so like that's what I get at. It's like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm not afraid of it. What I'm afraid of is the day that I stop creating. What does that mean? I don't know. I could be in an accident, get paralyzed, and I can't create anymore. I could die. That to me is more terrifying. If I ever have to live a life where I can no longer create, that is terrifying to me.
That makes complete sense.
So that's what Teen Strike is kind of themed on, this whole thing, like getting it out, right? Because this is my therapy. This is what I do. When my dad passed away, I made him a piece of artwork that I folded up, the only copy of. I put it with him and it was cremated with him, and I just never want to see it again. Like that's just me getting that stuff out there,
Right.
So if we go through here, I give you a huge kind of idea of what this whole thing's about. Teen Strike is about first love. It's about social anxiety. It's about friendship and what it means to try and keep your friends together with all these clashing personalities. And then it's got superhero stuff thrown in there to kind of move that story along, right? It's not a superhero first comic. It's about actual teenagers living actual teenage lives, right? They have to go to school. They just want to go to homecoming. They want to go to prom, like these kind of things. But what happens when all this stuff gets in the way and complicates their lives? So issues 1 and 2 kind of set up the overall story, the world. That's what it is. You get the first issue is basically a lot of exposition talking about the world and setting up the life of these kids, what their everyday life looks like. Then issue 2, which it comes together in one 60-page volume. Issue 2 introduces you to them running missions, right? Because they did form a superhero team that is being backed by a corporation that may have other aspirations, but they want to observe and learn about these superhero powered beings that are starting to arise. So this is kind of like a first generation kind of story. That they're around, people have seen them. This takes place in the late 90s, early 2000s. So people on message boards have been saying like, oh, this has been happening here, this has been happening there, like seeing Bigfoot kind of thing, blurry footage and all that stuff. So they're trying to learn and figure out all these things, all while having hormones and figuring out life around them, not knowing anything. So issue 2 and 3 picks up right after their first mission. So issue 3 is about what a typical weekend looks like for them. It involves going to the mall, right? That's where the main character, which is based on my persona, is Jesse, and he meets the girl of his dreams there, Trisha, and she works at the mall. She's a skater girl, and based entirely on my first girlfriend. A lot of the stuff that's in here is real. Like this stuff is stuff that happened to me, and what happens? He finally gets the nerve to finally ask her out because his friends have been building him up with confidence, and now that he's helping run this superhero team, he has the confidence to actually ask her out, and how that affects their relationship going forward. They go home, they play video games with their friends, they go to their friend's house to go to a pool, and then they got to go on Sunday to go fight a giant robot, right? As a training session. So that kind of is a little bit of an extension of like learning about the world. Issue 4 is about them being at a high school football game, and they get called away to a mission. And this is where it starts introducing consequences, and you start really testing friendships. They can't all go, so the team has to get split in half. And so what happens when you have half a team? They're not as strong as they used to be. They don't have that cooperation because the drama's been kind of building there where the people are starting to argue and stuff. And then what happens to one of their teammates because they have to overexert themselves so that they get injured. And that really causes a lot of drama. And then this leads into the homecoming issue, which is issue 5. And then, kind of introduces the overall big monster that they're fighting in this first thing. So that's what this kind of is. Obviously, here's my schedule right now, right? Where I'm doing 2 books at a time, which I did learn my lesson. I'm going to start combining them instead of offering individual issues. They're just going to be double issues from now on. That's a lot to handle, 8 covers. But this is what it looks like. This machine is not stopping. Like whenever I get my production machine rolling, it goes. And it does not stop. So
Have
this
you
is
ever
going.
looked at a lady death campaign?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but
24
I am,
covers and
I am, but one person who's also doing a whole lot of other projects at the same time. But yeah, so we've been out of the reviews that we've gotten. They've been positive. A lot of them have said that these look and read like actual teenagers. And so that's a good thing. We've been able to get the project we love. We'll award with them too. So that's always good. So, this kind of section here just kind of talks about exactly what I talked about, so there's Jerry there, and you can see his character in the book. And then we got the interior samples here. That's me talking with Trisha, and all that stuff, having fun,
I do have this book. I do have 1 and 2 around here somewhere. I do.
Just interior samples, right? I elected to go with something a little bit more on the cartoon side of things. I just get sick and tired of like opening up like Marvel or DC, and it's supposed to be a teen book, and they look like 35-year-olds, like it just like like dressed like kids. Like that always bothered me. So I go for something a little bit more, where they actually do look like kids,
Yeah.
Which is important to me, to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of action, in these books. But yeah, then it takes us to the covers, of course. I generally do 4 covers per. A contextual, a rainbow, a guest, and a horizontal is generally what I do. And so you can see that here also in issue 4, contextual, rainbow, guest, and horizontal.
Okay.
You can pick from all those, whichever ones you like. Then I got digital tiers as well. If you just want to be introduced, we have the single. We do have catch-ups on here too. And these PDFs, it's the typical. You can just pay for the digital. Great, $7 gets you in. Or you can pay to just get all the covers, which in this case it's 8 covers, which is a lot of artwork. It's a lot of fun. The physical tiers, $14. Pick your own combination. I went in here and actually made all the combinations, which sucked. I'll find a better way of doing it. I think I'm going to switch to backer kit for the final polling results, because they actually let you give you images during your surveys. But I didn't want to risk it, so I just did the hard work. You can get all 8 physical covers. If you just love covers, great. I'll sign them for you. Whatever. Then we have our catch-up tiers. Obviously, I keep my shit really low cost too. Like some people are like, a single issue is $20, and I'm just like, oh, wow, okay. No, I do $7 for 30 pages roughly. That's kind of like my scale there, and then I just round up to $5. So my physical catch-up, you're getting 124 pages of story for $25. That's pretty
Not
damn
bad.
good, because
Not
because
bad.
I've looked at a lot of Kickstarters, and that shit's expensive.
Man, I'd be seeing people like $20 for a 25-page book or 24-page book, and I'm like, you want what?
Yeah, but
$1 a page? What?
their situation is theirs, and their situation is different than mine, right? I am fortunate enough that I get paid a good salary, and then I have all this paid for already. So for me, I can give some of this stuff away too. If I see a kid that I feel needs to see this, or someone is, I don't have a problem just giving this stuff away, right? At the end of the day, yes, it's cool to make money. It's great. Ultimately, I just want the story to reach people, and I'll get into a little bit of that right after this, if we have the time.
I mean, as a backer, I have those limits, right? If you have a 22-page book, I probably don't want to spend more than $10 for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 48-page book, I might stretch between 15 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going over 48, now I'm willing to give you a little bit of money, because I'm getting a product that I'm not going to breeze through in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You
Well,
see
hell,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? It's like I'm looking at it as a fan, as a buyer, because that's who I am. I'm not a creator. I don't have to factor in printing or any of that. I have to factor in my entertainment value.
Yeah.
You see what
and
I'm
so
saying?
for me, the first 2 issues are 60 pages. That's $15. The second 2 are 64 pages. That's still $15.
Yeah.
The next 2 will be another 60 some pages. It's like 60, 60, 60, 60 all the way down. It's like 100
and see,
it's like,
and
that's how many pages.
that's a great price. That's that's totally in the wheelhouse for the amount of content. That's what I'm saying. As a fan, I'm counting pages.
Actually, my last book, my last combination book, is going to be about 70 some pages, on the low end of 80, because at the end of the day, it's like 260 some pages, like the entire thing when I collect it all.
Right.
But even the last the last combination, I'll probably still do $15. This stuff's like $5. It's like under $6 to print. So I'm still there at the $9 profit range, right? And that's fine.
Right.
That's cool by me. And then of course I have the make me angry portion, where if you just want everything, this is like I think it's about 100 and when I tallied it all up, it was like $150. So you're getting like a $50 discount.
Why do you call it the make me angry tier? What?
16 bucks. Yeah, it's like, you want to make me really angry? Do it. I dare you. I'd have to go find a big box and everything. Which I think I've had. I think I've had 5 or 6 people take it. So I'm gonna have to find 5 or 6 big boxes. So unless someone here listening in the next 20 some hours really wants to make me angry, that's the way you do it.
Look, go ahead. Get that make him angry tier.
Oh, make me so angry. I just threw it up there because someone was like, hey, I just throw up a retailer thing because, hey, if someone's going to do it, it costs me nothing to list it. But if someone sees it, and I think 6 people have done it. And I was like, oh, okay, shit. All right. Fine. Fuck me, I guess, make me angry. It is. So my team here, is my team of people. I put together a team. I build teams for a living. I only know how to succeed. So this is the team that I have done for this, and so far so good. And then we get all this other junk down here. We're printing a kablam, but it's just this is the legal stuff here. That's the basic campaign. Again, we've been pretty successful for this, and also the last couple shows we've sold a ton. So yeah, we've done pretty well. I'm very happy with this is going. But aside from the money, as I said, I'm not really necessarily in it for the money. I just want to get the story out there, right? So when I wrote this story, the PDF was done. I hadn't edited it or anything like that. It was just I had done this first story arc, and I had a friend who's in the comic book, one of the characters in there. He was going through a very, very messy divorce, and I was trying to talk him down. He was very suicidal and all that stuff. And I told him, I said, "Hey, you remember Teen Strike, right?" And he goes, "Yeah," because he was one of the ones that would, like I said, he's one of the characters in the team, and he would help with story ideas and stuff like that. I said, "Well, I got the whole first story arc written." And he's like, "Oh shit, like send it to me." I was like, "Okay." So I sent it to him. A couple days later, he messages me back, and he's like, "Wow, man, like that really, took me off the edge, right? Like got me off the ledge, right? He was ready to jump, and it pulled him down." And he's like, "I have one question for you." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Was Trisha really that awesome?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, she's fucking amazing." And a lot of that stuff in there really happened. And he's like, "Oh man, that gives me hope, right? That I'll be able to find someone else awesome like that." And so for me, I was just like, "Oh, done. Like this has been worth it. Like
Yeah.
even if I don't go in and make a comic out of this, if I don't make a single dollar of this, one, I saved my friend's life. That's absolutely worth it."
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
I just got a message on Thursday. Yeah, I think it was early last week actually. I just got back from Brazil, and so I took my Brazilian people. They did their pre-orders, so I took them the comics because I was out there for a trade show. And so I said, "Oh, I was passing out the comics that they had paid for." I was like, "Here you go. This is all the early Kickstarter stuff." Anyways, one of them, their employees, they got back to their home city, and her sister was having an episode. What it was, I don't know. I didn't ask, but she was having a really bad mental episode. Um, and so she didn't really know what to do. So she just was like, here's some comic books for you to read." And she sat down and she started reading them, and it calmed her down, and it made her stop having that episode. And she started really empathizing with the story. She fell in love with this, and so her sister messaged me, and she was just like, "Holy shit, dude!" She's like, "I can't believe what I just saw." Right? And she's like, she's one of the $100 backers. She's just like, "Boom, I'm buying these books. Send them all to me," um, because it just worked on her sister. There was something about the story that she could relate to, right? And that's what I'm really hoping for, right? I'm really hoping that I can reach the people that need to have friends, the people that are kind of lost, or maybe they just want something that they can relate to. Maybe even as simple as just seeing characters with their own skin color, or maybe characters with their last names, or being from the region, something. Because back where I'm from, we don't get comic books. Like the comic shops are really low, and we just don't get anything really targeted to us. So seeing something that takes place in our hometown and stuff like that is kind of cool. So
Right.
reaching those people, right? Um, Overall, anyone can read this book. It doesn't really matter who you are, what your background is, or anything. Anyone can read this book, and I'm hoping that it's I don't want it's generic is a bad word, but it means what it means for a reason. But I'm hoping that it's a generic enough experience that anyone can input themselves in there, right? Anyone can be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when my friends and I used to go wander aimlessly at the mall," right? And kind of like get something out of it. That's what I really hope for. I want to connect with people more so than take their money. Um, that's kind of what we're about, at least on our side of things, is
I mean,
basically making that connection.
I like to think that's most of most of the people come out here because they have the story inside that they got to tell.
Mhm.
Most of the people I've interviewed, that's kind of where they come from. I got to get this out. I haven't really had anybody come on any of our shows going, "Pops, you got to help me make money, man." You know what I mean? It's like they're, they know I'm gonna promote, and I know I'm gonna share, and I'm gonna do what I do, but nobody like pushes on me to do anything extra for them. So I don't feel like there's too many greedy people in our circle.
Yeah, those people get out really quick because I mean, let's be honest, there really isn't a lot of money to be made in comics.
No.
And so I think the people that come in and see a Brian Pulido raising 120,000 or whatever, or a Common America, raising 70,000 or whatever, they see that, and like I said, they come in with entitlement, saying, "Hey, I could just do the exact same thing and make that money." It's like, no, you can't.
No.
You really can't. We can tell when something's genuine or not. Really, I think most of us can.
Yeah, and we can tell we can tell why you're here. Some people have no story to tell at all, and they're just selling some art, basically. I've read some really bad stories. I've read some really good stories. The really good ones are the ones that I talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, like that little girl that brought us that drawing, that's what it's all about. We had another family, very similar situation. They bought some books, they left, and then the next day they came back. The little girls had the books, and these are like little girls. They're like, I'd say like 5 or 6, and they wanted us to autograph the books, So we autographed to them, and they were jumping around with the books while we were talking to the parents. And the parents were like, "Yeah, that's their first autographs." Like they felt that way. They felt that way. They felt so strongly about the book, specifically Malia, man. The Malia Mayhem book is great, especially for little kids. They felt so strongly about Malia that they wanted to come back and get their autographs. So their parents were like, "Oh, hell yeah, this is their first autographs." And so we autographed them and stuff like that. Man, that was so amazing.
It's all about right there, man. that feeling that you get is just priceless. You can't put a price on that feeling.
Not at all. At all, man.
Yeah.
I had this other kid. I say kid, but he was like in his early 20s, and I could tell that he had some kind of like learning disability or whatever. But he was there, and he got real attracted to Trisha. Like, there's a cover that's the one that's, man, we sold out. Like, I got to reorder that for the Kickstarter because Jesus Christ, that one's really popular. It's actually this one here. It always catches people's eyes. This one, cover C.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh," he's like, "What's this book?" And so we kind of told him, got him all fired up, and he was just like, "Oh," he's like really into the story. And then so I was like, "Yeah, so these are the books, And he's like, "Oh no," he's like, I didn't mean to lead you on." He goes, "I can only afford one book." He's like, "Which one gets me into the story, starts me with the story?" And I said, "Oh, okay, well, that's not a problem." So I took issues 3 and 4, and I just had issues 1 and 2. And I was like, "This one does." He's like, "How much is it?" I goes, "Well, it's 15." And he's like, "I don't have $15." And I was like, "Okay, well, how much do you have?" And he starts looking through his bags and stuff, and he pulls out, he's like, "I have $3. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Then that's your price, $3. Let's do it." And he's like, "What, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's your special discount. I'm doing it only today for you, only $3. And so he like takes it, and he's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And he runs off. So I start pitching to other people and telling them my other books and stuff. And I see him out of the corner of my eye. He returns to my friend Roy, who's helping me sell. But he comes up to Roy because I was busy. And I'm trying to listen because I can multitask. So I'm listening to 2 conversations at once. I'm doing a pitch, but listening to what they're saying. And I hear him saying giving my friend Roy a pitch. He's pitching him like these stories. And then I hear my friend Roy say, "Well, he's busy right now, but I'll tell him your ideas when we're done." And I hear him go, "Really? Really, really, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, those are great ideas." And he just kind of like squeals, and he's like, "Yes, oh my God." And he takes off running. And we're done pitching, and we sit down, and he's like, "Oh man," he came over and he told me his pitch and stuff. And he's like, man, he's so excited. He's just like, when I told him that you were going to that they're great ideas and we'll consider them for future issues, it made his day. And I was just like, sweet, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's about, inspiring people, doing that stuff.
You said something about the little girls or little kids that got the first autograph, and that reminded me of the first con that we took my grandsons to.
Oh, there you
This
go.
is
Big old
Isaac.
Groot.
This is Isaac, the one that's playing baseball now, right? And everything.
Yeah.
Okay. He's looking up at Groot. Now, wait. He turns away after looking up at Groot. Look at that face, dude.
Yeah.
And he's looking down at his little brother who's in the stroller, also looking up at Groot, right? But I didn't, some reason they weren't both in this frame and it made me mad. But just look at his little face, man. He was like, oh my God. And he had that smile. It was like, and then he was, after he met Groot, he was cool and he wanted to go meet everybody. You know, he was cool after that. He was
Yeah.
and he knew who everybody was and everything, you know. Man, you just reminded me of his first con and how much fun he had, you know.
Like part of me is extremely envious and wishes that happened with me. But you know what? All the shit that I had to go through and that all of us had to go through during that time to be able to grow up and be in charge, that now we're throwing shows for kids so they don't have to go through what we do, makes it worth it.
Yep.
Dude, they didn't even, I don't even think, I guess when San Diego Comic-Con started, what, early 70s?
I think it was like, it was either 69, but yeah, or early 70s.
Yeah, it's like, and that was like the one, right? There weren't Comic-Cons in every city.
And that's because that's where the business was, the industry.
Right.
It was either New York, because New York Comic Con as well, and San Diego.
Yeah. And I mean, when I was a kid, that was it. There weren't, you know, that's what I mean. There wasn't one where I lived that you could.
That was fabled. Oh, you'd see it in like Wizard magazine and stuff like that. Like for me, we didn't even have a comic shop. We would have to go to Walden Books, and whatever Walden Books had on that comic rack, that's the only things we can get.
Yeah, that's like Cannabis Cup for me, man.
I don't even think Walden Books existed when I was. All the comics we got when I was a kid were on the spinner racks at the grocery store, at the drugstore,
newsstands.
You know. I think 7-Eleven carried them, and they had them in the rack, you know, in the wood racks.
Smoke signals, cave paintings.
Yeah.
Back when you were a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it was like there was no internet, there was no anything. You know, no social media. Look, we used to buy comics and give them to our friends. Did you get this one? Did you check this out? Oh, trade you this one for that one.
Yeah, I think I started at like collecting cards, you know, like sports cards and things like that. And the shops I would go to get the Beckett, you know, had to have the Beckett, know how much your cards were worth. Well, they would also have comic books in the same little, you know, boxes as the Beckett's, and that's where because, you know, they had like 50-cent comics and dollar comics, so that's where I kind of started with the comics, and then
dollar beans.
Yeah, and then it of course progressed into a lot bigger things.
For me, it was grocery stores. My brother's 10 years older than me, but he would buy me Justice League International, all the 80s DC stuff.
Those were the quarterlies, right? The thicker ones.
So yes, I would have some of those. I started on Dan Jurgens, like anything Dan Jurgens, you know, like all those guys that were basically the 80s quintessential DC people. That's what my brother was reading at the time, and he would always just pass them down to me. But I started grocery stores where I would buy Archie Digest, Archie Double Digests. Archie was like my thing growing up. And then the other magazine here, I actually purchased my favorite issue on eBay recently, and I just have it here next to me. Is Cartoons.
Look at that!
Oh, man. I remember that.
Yeah, Cartoons magazine was like amazing stuff. Like it's just, you know, it's like Mad magazine and stuff. Because I used to buy Mad and Cracked.
Yeah,
but
actually, we had to produce the former editor of Cracked on the show not that long ago, Mort Todd.
He's a riot, dude. That dude is a nut.
Yeah.
This is October '88 for this one. This is my favorite issue of Cartoons magazine, the Corvette edition.
It's
got one of my
years old.
favorites. Yeah, it's got one of my favorite stories in here.
25 years old when you.
What year was it?
88.
Yeah, I was 6.
You're just a couple years younger than me. I'm born -- so I was 9 when that one came out.
82.
I was 25.
That's how I got started. And then to what Ghost Pepper said, the death of Superman, that one, I got that comic in a card shop. It was in the Valle Vista Mall, and they had just a small little corner with trading cards. And my friends and I used to go in there and always pick up the X-Men ones, all the comic book or the movie, like the Batman, those the '89 movie and all that stuff. And I remember walking in and seeing the black sleeves of the Death of Superman up there, and it was there in Walden Books, basically.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of them white. I got a bunch of them white polybag funeral for a friend books. I had a bunch of those.
Yeah, I remember going to the card shop, a few times, and I always sit there and be to myself. And then one day, this group of kids come in, and they're all about my age, and they all rushed over to the comic book side of the store, and they were all having fun and reading the books, and I'm sitting over there with my baseball cards, looking like, oh man, this is like boring. Just looking at a little card. This book has got a whole story and colors and action, and so that's where I was like, this is.
So this since we're almost toward the end of the show here, there's gonna have to be one of those moments when I promote something that I think you'll enjoy, since you're a fan of Cracked Madden and whatnot. I think you will enjoy this. You might want to go check this one out.
Let's do this.
It's called Flip City Magazine.
Yes, my favorite.
I saw that.
Yes, it is today's Cracked and Mad, and even Mort Todd likes this book. The guy who edited Cracked, he says it is the only thing that compares to those books back then.
Oh, it's great, man.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember? It wasn't Cracked and it wasn't Mad, but it was the one with the clown. He was like a messed up clown, like a drug addicted clown with a gun.
No,
God,
and I should know this, and I don't.
Let me see.
It was something like that exists.
Crazy.
I don't.
It was called Crazy.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Crazy Magazine with what was his name? The magazine that dares to be dumb. That was a Marvel publication as well. Crazy Magazine.
Yeah, I think I have some of those. I have some Cracked. I have some Mad. I was talking to Mort about it. We were talking about the Batman, the 1989 Batman Cracked issue, because I have it and we were cracking up about it. It's funny, man. Good stuff. It's a little late. We're getting ready to close this one down, but I want you to go look at that one right there, guys. Teen Strike 3 and 4. Go check it out. Share the link. Do me that favor, bro. Go share that link out. I dropped it everywhere already, but do it again.
It was Obnoxio the Clown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's the final issue. That's actually the one that I had, was that issue right there. It was pretty wild. I need to go find someone has to have this archived somewhere.
Man.
What year was this?
That's a new one on me. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's I'll have to check it out. Just as April number 94, doesn't have the date. Yeah, that was the other one that I would read every so often.
Yeah, I like it. And like I said, now if you want something comparable to that, it's Flip City Magazine.
I only read Flip City nowadays. It's the best one around.
I didn't know. Was that you? That sounded Ghost Pepper. That sounded like a soundbite. That was awesome.
Yeah. We got good voice people up in here.
Oh yeah.
We do all kinds of stuff over here. You know what I mean?
Can you tell me whose voice this is?
Deep Thoughts by Tony Baker.
Does Big James fall asleep fast because he's dead tired?
This has been Deep Thoughts by Dwayne Fink.
You say bear or bear?
Got some more Path of the Pale Rider. Lori and I are going to be making some hot sauce together here pretty soon. And we're going to be doing a hot sauce crossover.
Oh, dude, look. I just got my package. I'm going to open it tomorrow morning on Lori's show.
Awesome.
I just asked her. I said, "Can I have 5 minutes on your show tomorrow?" And she's like,
"Please."
What? I said, "I want to open this." She goes, "Yes, whatever it is." And I'm like, "Duh,
your stuff,
your stuff, yeah,
it's yours. Come on."
I got a show with her this weekend. I'm gonna be at a show with her. I gotta take her some donuts.
I have sauce and books and stuff for Carrie. Because we got a big old box of stuff to send to Carrie.
Yeah, it's the name. I'm kind of a hot sauce connoisseur myself.
Me too.
Chris sent me the cherry. Was it? It wasn't Ghost Reapers. Cherry flavored, has a little cherry flavor, but it's Carolina Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I like it. It has flavor. It's not hot enough.
All right.
So I told her.
I like the hot sauces like the bomb that tastes really nasty. It's just hot to be hot. It's no fun in that. It's not really food.
I have some insanity in my fridge.
Yeah.
My roommate and I, we have a pure liquid capsaicin. So whenever we're doing chili, we drop some drops in there, and sure enough, man, for like a big bowl of chili, like literally like one or two tiny drops is enough.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like.
Yeah, you seen the group? Go ahead, Pop.
I must go eat. Guys.
Yeah, man.
I must.
Thanks for coming, Jesse. Good stuff, man.
Great Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I am a little long in the tooth sometimes. I'll tell my stories. But I've had a blast. I had a blast, and obviously, Pops, this time of year is probably the worst time of year. I'm super busy. That's why I didn't have any time to really promote. But we got this next one coming out, and we can probably jump on some. I was telling Ghost Pepper earlier, I still have my desire to do my own podcast, but more on the video game side of things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm trying to revive that. I got to talk with my friends, see if I can bring back our own podcast.
We got a network for that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. Bring it to the network.
Definitely. Well, I look forward to talking more.
Show, dude, you want to do even a gaming development show or something?
Yeah.
Anything you want to do? Let me know. I'll fit you right into this network somewhere.
Yeah, just critiquing art, critiquing games. Just anything, man, for real.
Yeah, just obviously with the 20 projects that I juggle, so that's just another one I could probably do. But I'm usually good at talking and drawing and doing all this stuff at the same time. So, we'll talk. Like I said, I'm looking at probably September. Hopefully, I can get on Lori's show. Jesus.
You got to book her now, dude. She's booked out for the whole year. You got to book her.
Yeah, now. I know. She is.
What?
Her show is so great, though.
You might be able to talk her into doing a launch party for you. Not necessarily on her show, but her and I doing a launch for you. You might be able to talk her into that. You might.
The amount of donuts I got to take her is going to be.
You see?
It's going to be quite a bit. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for having me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, it's teenstrike.com. It's real easy. You can just jump in. You can catch up. We're 4 issues in now. 5 and 6 will be out in the fall, and then 7 and 8 to conclude the first story arc will be out in 1 year. So my cadence is going to be 2 double-sized issue, basically almost like every 5 to 6 months, I guess, something like that. Basically, 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall. Anyone from Texas can find us at any of the local conventions. This year, we're hitting up almost every single convention in Texas, except the one in El Paso. That one's just a really far drive for us. You can find us easily, teenstrike.com. We'll take you to the Kickstarter. Other than that, Dinosaur Entertainment takes you to my main site. I'm still rebuilding that whole website, so it's kind of half-assed right now. On socials, you can just look up Dinosaur Games or look up Teen Strike on Facebook, and you'll find us real easy there. We're just here and there. I suck at social media, so there's not a ton of updates on things. I have a newsletter. I don't spam because I suck at sending out newsletters. So I try my best.
Look, I have a Facebook group that you're allowed to drop your link in once a day.
I just suck at it.
I know you do. I
just
will
suck
try
at
to
it.
make sure that it's like, look, with the amount of people that I try to promote, I don't get to everybody every day, but I do try to remind them, put it in front of me.
Yeah.
So that I
We
can
appreciate
remember to put it everywhere else, right?
We appreciate
what I
it
mean?
for sure.
Because, like I said, there's a lot of them. So,
There is, and there's a lot of good stories out there that need to be told. Come join us. We are a lot of fun. We're just having fun out here between Malia Mayhem, How to Hunt a Hero, and Teen Strike, plus my next 2 books coming out. We're just having a lot of fun. We got something for everyone of all ages, too.
And that Malia Mayhem, that's with DM Ray, right?
Yep.
Yeah. See, right. I got some of it in my memory bank still. Some of it works.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Jesse. Thanks for coming,
Have a
buddy.
great day, Jesse. Peace.
Have a great day.
Take it easy.
Ghost Pepper.
All right, man.
Always good to see you.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
I think we're moving the Monday matinee to 1 o'clock.
All right.
Because we have a new show coming in. Maybe not, I think for sure this week, because he said he wanted to get it in on Monday because of a certain movie trailer that's going to be released or something. But NEM, David Howard is starting a show.
Right. Cool.
NEM in the AM on the network.
Cool.
Ghost Pepper's talking to
Atomic Annie
guys over there at Atomic Annie. We're bringing them in.
Yep.
Dan Sen, during the show this morning, he was talking about, reminded me that we had talked about him bringing a show in.
Mm-hmm.
It's about to get really lively up in here. I'm going to be working my ass off, brother. So,
yeah, man. I'll help any way I can. You know I will.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And Dustin, also from Geekman, stepped up big time this week, and was trying to help in a situation that I wasn't available for. And I've kind of, because he's always paying attention to what's happening in the Facebook and whatnot, chat groups and whatnot, I'm kind of going to be leaving him with the majority of the admin, so that if I'm not available, somebody who's paying attention is.
Sure.
I mean, he will have it most of the time, maybe not all the time, but most of the time. So if you're having an issue, guys, you need to get a hold of somebody to fix it. If you can't find me, Dustin will be available. Okay. Cool. He will have admin as well to fix any issues if I'm not available. So
sweet.
Just
good one for the job.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like he's there. He's really been stepping up all the time. And it's like, I just told him, I was like, man, you're kind of my guy right now, and not sure tonight if they have a show, but if not, he might play a movie. You never know. I told Dustin, you do whatever you want with your time slots whenever you have them. He's earned that right to deviate from his plan at any time, and I'm behind him on that. So
right, and let him know anytime I'm available. If he needs somebody to help out, I'm here.
There you go. There you go, Dustin. We kind of knew that, but
yeah. All right, pops. Well, have a good rest and a good supper, and we'll see you next time, man.
All right, brother. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning brew. Tomorrow afternoon, I don't even remember, but tomorrow night we got is it tomorrow night or Wednesday night? There's a Silver Line launch party coming up, guys. So keep your eye out for that too for Kayless, either tomorrow or Wednesday. I forget which one, but we got stuff going on. Keep your eyes open. We gonna be coming at you hard now. So
Sweet.
That's all I got. I'm gonna play this Zaf ad and then I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, pops. Have a good one.
There you go. Oh, I got this. I'm gonna be unboxing the Zaffo package and a Todd Black package and a Lori Calcaterra package here. Probably tomorrow on Lori's show. I'll just pop them all. So
Sweet.
pay attention, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
on the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and